hear about where you're from. How are you going to celebrate Pride this year? And or who is your favorite queer artist? And what have you been listening to? Super excited to hear everyone. So, Jersey, is that how you pronounce your name? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Ariel. Actually, I'm on my girlfriend's account.
Hi.
So how y'all doing? I'm, an artist in the making, working on my own music artist development stuff and developing myself. I live for Haley Kiyoko, obvi, and yeah, I'm just like listening a lot these days to Mariah and Blackpink and K-pop groups these days.
Ooh, such good music. Thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to have you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Alexi. Yes, I did. That was a real moment that I sent you in that email. Yes,
It made our day. Thank you.
yes. Babe, you want to say hi? No. Okay, she don't want to say hi. She's camera shy.
All good, all good. Well, hello and thank you for being here. Juke, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. You want to tell us about where you're from? How are you celebrating Pride this year? And what have you been bopping to?
So I'm right now based in Brussels, Belgium. I mostly work in London, the UK, and as well New York City and LA. I'm an A&R producer, beat maker, stage runner, artist manager, promoter, booking agent. I'm doing all of those things. And yeah, I collaborate. I don't like the word like work because like music is my hobby. I love to do it. So I collaborate with Sofa Sounds, with the Roundhouse in London, with Universal, Sony, and many other organizations as well. I have my two non-profit organizations. One is called Black Music Movement, and the other one is called Raw Fest. And what I do for Pride, I mean, we still have restrictions here. So we don't have lockdown here, but we have restrictions. So everyone really, I went down the whole street up and down today, and it's really warm here. And everyone had their like flag out on the window. It was really
Love
beautiful to
that.
see. I have my flag every day out, so it's really cool. But yeah, that's really it. We're looking to get in end of July, we're getting to have a party, like a little small pride party. Hopefully this is still working out. But other
Nice.
than that, just listening to music, making music, and yeah, connecting with other people. That's really it.
Awesome. Well, so happy that you're here to celebrate with us
Yeah.
now and looking
Yes.
forward to what else goes on for you.
Thank you.
Who
Thank
else is around? Sima, is that how you pronounce your name? I want to make sure I get it correctly.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no, you got that right. Yeah, my name is Simha. My pronouns are he, they. I'm based in Los Angeles. I'm originally from the Bay Area, Cupertino specifically. Um, and um, right now, I'm really into jazzatronic music, so like
Ooh.
Kiefer or Alpha Mist, things like that. But I take a lot of influence from Leon LaHava, Stevie Wonder, Jordan McKay, um, a lot of UK people. I think
Right.
so far everyone that I've listed are like from the UK. So um, yeah, and as far as Pride goes, um, there are restrictions here too. Um, but I think from what I'm hearing, they're going to be removing the mask mandate for vaccinated people on the 15th of June.
Yes.
So we might host a little, get together for Pride in my backyard. Um, yeah, that's it.
Ah, yay. Well, fingers crossed. That's so
Yeah,
exciting. And thank you so much for being here.
thank you.
Let's see, we'll do a couple more people, just read the room, and then we'll get started. So, who else is here? Angela, how are you? If you're on. All good, all good. We'll come back. We'll come back. What about Marta? Where are you from? How are you celebrating Pride this year? And what have you been bopping to? Oh no, all good, all good. If you want to put something in the chat, feel free. Okay, we'll jump to one more person and then we'll get started. Um, how about Palmu? How are you doing? Where are you from? How are you celebrating Pride this year? And what have you been bobbing to? It'd be like that. It's an early Saturday morning, so all good things, all good things. I can answer these questions real quickly as well. Oh, that's so exciting, Marta. Nice. Yeah, I'm figuring out how I'm going to celebrate too. So, again, hi, I'm Kit Kat. I am the event coordinator with Finesse Media and also your host for today's events. I'm from Los Angeles. I will probably be celebrating Pride at home, maybe with some friends if I want. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I've been listening to a lot of fun new music from some awesome artists actually here. So, looking forward for you all to hear that as well. Um, hi Kaylee. Do you want to introduce yourself, where you're from, if you're celebrating Pride, how you're going to celebrate, and what you've been bopping to? Oh no, feel better, Kaylee. I hope you get well soon. Okay, well, with that, let's get started. Just a few reminders. Please keep your mics off until asked during the Q&A. We would love for you to keep your cameras on though. This is a great opportunity for you to connect with the rest of this community. And grab a pen and paper. You never know what notes you'll want to take. So, hello everyone. Thank you all for being here in celebration of Pride 2021. Woo! Today, we'll be focusing on music and queer culture, and more specifically on LGBTQ plus visibility, the impact of queerness in music, and how we can continue to embrace queer expression. With us today, we have Shay Irvin, Freddie Valentine, and Sella. Let's give some snaps to introduce them all. Woo woo. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. To start things off, I'd love for you to all to introduce yourselves. Freddie, do you want to start?
Yeah, of course. Do you want me to go with the questions that you threw at everyone else, or do you want me to just?
Just go for whatever you want to share.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Freddie Ballantyne, Frederick Ballantyne, but nobody actually calls me that. I am from Norfolk, Virginia. Most recently moved to Berlin. I am in Berlin, Germany now, and I moved there from Washington, D.C. I am an opera singer. I'm a freelance opera singer, so I perform all over the world. Which is one of the favorite parts of my job. I get to travel and see my friends all over the place, and of course, get to sing amazing music. What else could be interesting? I always, when I get to this question and like have to talk about myself, I get nervous and I have no idea what to say. So I'm going to answer the questions that everybody else answer because that makes me feel more comfortable. What am I doing for Pride? So here in Berlin, we have Christopher Street Day, which is a very, very wild, beautiful day that happens, I think, on the 24th of July this year. And that's a long way away from here, so I don't really feel like waiting for it. And everybody else in the States has already started like waving the flags and everything. So you'll probably see me walking around the streets of Berlin with a harness on, like this one that I had made a few years ago here. And my friends and I will probably spend most of our time like on the beaches, what they call beaches here, which is basically a lake, a small lake. That's what a beach is here. It's not all that, but it's still cute. It's still a cute time. So that's how I'll be spending my time. Thank you, Kaylee. I love this harness too. It's like my crossover between gay life and formal wear.
Love the energy. Thank you again, Freddie, for being here. Why don't we jump to Sella next?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Marcella. You can call me Chella. My pronouns are she, they. Super excited to be here. Currently, I am working in the video release planning department at Sony Music. I graduated not too long ago from Syracuse University, right into the pandemic, and just recently started sort of my first full-time role. I'm sure a lot of folks here know the energy. I'm also the executive director of Color Music Collective, and super proud to just get to work with an organization that advocates for both POC and LGBTQ plus communities in music on the daily, something I'm just obviously extremely passionate about. I'm currently based in Brooklyn, in New York City. What else? Big Phoebe Bridgers fan in terms of queer music, and also Julian Baker. We love it. Hey, neighbor in Jersey. Yeah, I'm from New Jersey originally, in North Jersey, next to like the Hoboken type area. So not too far away. Sorry if you hear music. My roommate's blasting Olivia Rodrigo, as we all are. But yeah, I think, oh, how am I celebrating Pride? Well, New York City is coming back to life slowly but surely. And I'm here to do my part in helping breathe life back into it, obviously in a safe way, but by celebrating as much as possible, as safely as possible. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Love the energy, love what's happening. And last but not least, Shay, can you introduce yourself?
I'd love to. Hi, my name is Shay. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the director of the Cultural Reset. We emphasize POC and LGBTQ plus creatives in the music industry. We have a platform where we basically get to know and highlight POC and LGBTQ plus artists, but then continue to support them in any way that we can, whether that's content creating or helping connect them with other creatives so that they can collab. It's that's really like the direct impact that we have. And we're also trying to, make the cultural reset in the music industry. So all of our volunteers, they're on that mission. And so we try to give them whatever experience it is that they need so that they can go off into the music industry or other industries, because the mission applies everywhere. And yeah, it's nice to see Chella too. We actually got our start from COMC, so shout out to them. And how celebrating Pride. So, I mean, the platform is definitely celebrating Pride. We're going to be having a Twitch fest at the end of the month to celebrate Pride. And thanks, Chella. And what have I been listening to? We just had an interview, and it just came out with an artist named Shav. Really love their bops. Really, really futuristic, contemporary, and creative. So been listening to Shav, been listening to Grizz, Christine and the Queens. Yeah, that's what I've been up to. So I'm really excited to be here and excited for this conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, all three of you. And let me say, the Cultural Reset introduced me to Chav, and I've just been loving the music. So thank you.
That makes me happy. That makes me so happy.
Good. I'm glad. Yes, please follow all of them. They're amazing. Can you talk a little bit more about how being queer has actually impacted your creative projects, since we're all in the music industry and all doing different things within the music industry? If it has impacted your projects, how? And what inspires you, and how does this contribute to just you? If anyone wants to start in particular. Maybe Chella?
Sure, yeah. I feel like it's like you did a good job in like pinpointing the question, but also I could probably answer it for like an hour. Yeah, so I think that my queer journey, as most folks' queer journeys is something super close and personal to me. I'm 23 now, but I feel like I sort of knew my whole life and came out when I was 12, in a sort of Sicilian American strict household that, Roman Catholic, the works. And in a small town, being from a small town in New Jersey, I was also the first woman to be openly out. And I really felt like so many other folks, like music was sort of my safe haven. And I remember my first sort of experience with being disappointed with the intersection of being queer and my queerness and music is that there weren't songs sung by queer people where, you know, they use the same pronouns. So like, I know Hayley Kiyoko was one of the first to really start using, you know, saying she's in love with her, or, you know, and now pronouns are so much less of a binary thing. It's a spectrum, of course. But I remember that sort of being my first frustration, and first thing I noticed that representation is seriously lacking. And I think my way of doing my part, you know, when I was that young to start spearheading that representation was by being out, being as proud as I could, being as active as I could in music. So I grew up a performing saxophonist and a percussionist, and sort of started in the live sphere and was very open and outspoken about being queer in whatever ways I could. When I went to university at Syracuse University, ended up starting a program that spotlighted POC and LGBTQ plus artists in the studio. So what we would do is we would bring those folks and those students on campus into a recording studio every week. And for free, we would fully mix, master, and film a performance of theirs, either of a cover or of their own song, sort of like MTV Unplugged vibes. And it was just a way to, you know, give them free promo and also just showcase their music and make them feel seen and represented. And then, of course, when I graduated into the pandemic, things were a little tough, but I was so fortunate to come across Colored Music Collective. And now it's sort of so integrated into my daily life of, you know, like, what can I do to be either an active ally for people of color, or what can I do for my queer community as well? And I think now I do that by, of course, my work with COMC, by being out and proud at Sony Music in my full-time role, but also just by like supporting up and coming queer artists, people of color, buying their music if I can afford it, of course. Entry-level music salary is not super generous, but we make it work. And yeah, I think there are a lot of super small ways you can do your part that are not necessarily monetary. And I think the queer community now more than ever is so supportive in helping you figure out your own path towards being as active as an advocate as you can be.
I love that. And I completely agree. Like, I just graduated from college. Money is not something I can just throw. And so
Absolutely.
helping artists, even just like having that space where you can be like, I support you, I see you, and I hear you, and I want to help you in that way. Like,
Absolutely.
Miles.
Even just, I think, being like an active fan of artists like Phoebe Bridgers who are openly bisexual, or Julian Baker, or, you know, like Sophie, listening to transgender artists. I think that goes a long way.
Exactly. And Freddie, for you being in the classical music and opera singer, what has your journey been like maneuvering your creative projects as a queer person of color?
You know, I think that as a young person in the class in opera, if you're talking about just stagecraft in general, one of the first things they will do to a younger man who has any type of effeminate traits or any type of effeminate ways of moving or being is stomp that shit out. You know, they immediately say, you can't be that on stage. You cannot allow this to contaminate what a character needs to be. And they have some truth in that, right? If you are going to be like, they want you to be a masculine lead, that is something that you definitely have to figure out how to temper. You have to figure out how to step into a different personality that may not have the traits that you necessarily identify with. But I found that for myself, I had to find some type of other creative outlets within classical music that still allowed me to be myself. And I had to fight a lot of people in order to allow that, though. You know, there were definitely people when I started throwing on wigs and just performing as my I only do it with classical music, but my classical music drag persona is Martina Ahogo. And she is very loud and proud. She has her, like, she's definitely, I modeled her off of like the old school opera divas of the day, like Jessie Norman or Leontine Price. And a lot of people were like, this is disgusting. This is not what classical music is. And I think that classical music is an art, and art is all meant for interpretation. You know, it's meant for you to push boundaries and become something that maybe people haven't seen before. So I think that my queerness has just allowed me to do that. It's allowed me to be something that others have not seen, and allowed me to be like something of a beacon for the younger people behind me who hadn't seen that before. You know, in classical music, when I was growing up, and I knew of classical singers who were known to be gay, you know, like it was known that this person may be a lesbian, it was known that this person may be gay, but they were never allowed to show it, because classical music is funded by very old, rich white people, and that's not necessarily what they want to see. And that's also the case here in Europe. Although it's state funded more, the people who do the castings they want to see who they are necessarily. So who I am is not who they are. How do you conjugate that? Not going to worry about it. Who I am is not who they are. So like I feel that like it was necessary for me to showcase every part of myself in order to create something for the younger people. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that from younger people who are in my field, who thought that they really couldn't be themselves in this field, you know? And I think as I've begun to try to take Martina out there into the world, I've also realized that I have the ability to do that off of the stage as well. You know, music is the arts. I think we all have found is something of a shield. And I think at first that shield was a way for me to broadcast a part of myself that I didn't feel comfortable being out in the world. But now I've found that like this queer part of myself that I put on the stage in these smaller settings is also like actually who I am. And I think younger people have also realized that as well. I think that answers the question. Sorry, y'all, I'm ADD, so I tend to go on a tangent. But yeah, I think that's how it's more impacted it for me. It's allowed me to create something that other young people in the arts haven't really had the chance to embrace.
Yeah, 100%. And like I myself just graduated, as I mentioned, from a classical music conservatory. And so seeing a classical drag queen is definitely not something within my community. And I hope that it continues spreading, because that's definitely an amazing, amazing path that you're paving.
Thank you.
What
You know,
about
and
you,
I definitely don't want to take credit as being like the first one to do something like this. There are other queens that I know who have done things like this. Her name is Jasmine Rice, who had just come out of Juilliard around, I think we're the same age, Jasmine and I. And then another one is Justin Kim, who started doing like a drag persona impersonation of a very famous coloratura named Cecilio Bartoli. Mm-hmm. And having spoken to both of them about this, they also received a lot, to the point where they kind of stopped doing it because they were afraid for their careers. Right. I was lucky enough to start doing it when I was very well into my career, and I had my career to shield me from a lot of the fear that came my way. So I was lucky in that.
100%. Thank you so much for sharing. And what about you, Shay?
Yeah, I actually wanted to tell you, Freddie, that we did an interview with an opera artist as well, and she's trans and in the opera community, and we talked about her experience, and I definitely think that you should check out that interview.
Can I ask, do you remember, was it Lucia Lucas or was it Sam maybe?
It was Lucia.
Lucia really has like paved a way for other trans artists within classical music. Like we owe a lot to her. Yeah, she's excellent. I definitely need to check that out.
We tried to praise her and she wouldn't take it.
Wow.
I'm
here,
I'm in the industry.
Like Lucia's like, I mean, I had no choice. This is who I am, so I can't accept that. And there's a lot to be said about that too, that humbleness in that.
Yeah. So let's see. My experience of being queer in the music industry, I feel like is just getting started in this last year. My upbringing was also very closed-minded. I didn't even know that queerness was an option for me. You know, I didn't know that I could explore my sexuality until I finally was independent. And then when I was finally independent, it still took time because it's like I had to meet people who would tell me that they were queer and would talk to me about it. And you know, the more I had my mind opened up, and my mind is continuously opening up, the more I could understand myself. And I actually found myself listening to a lot of interviews with artists, listening to a lot of music, like Chella said, that had pronouns, whereas like a woman referring to being in love with another woman. And I think that that really, really opened up my mind towards myself. But then I also have realized that, like, you know, this is common. It's so common that we grow up in an environment where the narrative is cis and binary and monogamous, and if that's for you, great. But the thing is that is most definitely not for everybody. And I think that, you know, if I had grown up in an environment where it was like, yeah, there's queer and trans and bi and pan, and like, you know, like she can be in love with her and he can be in love with him, and not just like a man and a woman fall in love and live happily ever after, which is the very common narrative. I feel like my experience would be different. I have, you know, my life is my life and I can't change that. But at this point, I've never heard that story before.
Not once.
Oh my God. So now that I am, you know, in this position of leadership, I feel like I feel like an activist really in this position. I feel like I'm an activist, like I have been since I left for college. I feel like I've been an activist, and my ability to actively, you know, be there for the queer community is just by telling my story, opening up the conversation, and also like opening up other people's minds who, you know, are in a narrative of monogamy and gender binary, to see that that's not the only narrative, and that, you know, that shouldn't be the default setting when we are, you know, when we are considering our own identity. And I actually have found that my siblings have been a pretty big motivator. My younger brother, he is also gay, and the only reason why he felt comfortable coming out is because I came out, you know, I'm very loud and rambunctious. And so like when I'm doing something, I'm gonna do it. And like, you know, in my family, that was constantly like, shut up, Shannon, like you're so like loud and crazy. And I'm okay with that though, because that's my self-expression. And I feel like I am most often not understood. I feel like I'm very well understood in this community, you know, and I feel so comforted by that. But I'm not a musical artist. I'm a visual artist. And all of my pieces, it depends on who I show my art to, but if I show my art to somebody who is somebody who doesn't understand me, doesn't understand they, them pronouns, doesn't really want to talk about or have that conversation, they just like, is this an art full of vaginas? Like, what is this? Like, why are you doing this? And I'm just like, this is my sexuality. This is my femininity. You know, like I love to put it into my paintings. I love to express myself as a woman. I love myself as a woman, and I love expressing my love for other women. And I just think that, you know, like in this environment, in this music industry, it's really just been about like me being myself and trying to pave the way to change that narrative so that people are able to openly consider their own identity.
Yeah, I love that. Let's give snaps. We're here for it. Thank you so much. And I know personally a huge reason why I was able to become, I mean, like Shay was saying, it's definitely a process, but one of the reasons why I was able to become more um, comfortable in being bisexual and a woman of color is because of social media. And I was seeing people like Troye Sivan coming out on YouTube, or, hearing songs like Girls by Girl in Red, like I was like, oh, I can see me in these people. And so, how do you think that social media is contributing to this growth, if it is? Because we're also seeing things like oversaturation and, a bunch of big companies just completely manipulating pride for their own gain. And so, with social media, how do you see it contributing to queerness in music? And that might be a very big question, so please feel free to take your time. Shay, do you have any thoughts? Oh, Freddie, go for it.
Um, Sorry, I hope I didn't step on anybody's toes.
No,
Um,
no.
I think for specifically for my field, I think that it's actually been a huge help, social media, because if you're talking about being on the stage specifically, you are stuck within the confines of what that company, first of all, is going to pay you for and what they're going to allow. And that's not much, to be honest, not necessarily what they pay you. Depends on who you are. Sometimes they pay well, but not always. Uh, but in terms of what they allow, it's usually not much. So if you want to get a different type of look across, a different type of voice across, and also advertise something that you want that is your own creation, your own recital, you're planning your own recital, your own concert, if you're planning something like that, or your own collaboration with the conductor, orchestra, something like that. Social media is the only way to do that, because the company, honestly, because of the confines, again, to the money, they can't really help you in that. So I think that social media is probably one of the biggest reasons that we've had any advancements in terms of the allowance of queerness within the classical arts. I know that for myself, it's been a huge deal. I think that for me, when I walk into a space that is, for opera, I have to do a lot of schmoozing. I have to walk almost after every show. I have to walk upstairs to some gala room and have to schmooze with all of these people who have donated money to the opera. And very often they've done a lot of research on me before, in addition to just having seen the show I performed, but they've done a lot of research on me before that. And if I walk in as myself, which I tend to do, regardless of how they feel about it, if I walk in as myself without them having seen something to tell them who I am as a person, that could be a huge turnoff and a big problem for the company and for me ultimately. And I think social media has been the only reason that I've been able to walk into these spaces and be entirely who I am. So I walk in there with something that's very flowy, maybe a heel, maybe some makeup. It's not as surprising to them anymore because they've seen who Freddie is via his social media accounts or via the stuff that he's thrown on YouTube, you know? And I think that's also going to be the same for most artists in the classical arts. Like we've created huge personas off of just not even with queerness, but we've created huge personas off of social media specifically. So I think for us, it's been a huge help, a very, very huge help in an informal way to create a new type of formality within the arts.
100%. What about you, Shay? Especially because this is a different realm of history.
A different realm of what? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, sorry, my Wi-Fi must have. Because it's a different realm of the music industry. Freddie has the stage, and then you do more of the visual arts. So, what about that for you?
Yeah, actually, I mean, social media has kind of been a lifeline for us. Our organization is run globally, and the only way we're able to really do that and connect with people globally is via social media and the internet. And it can be really, really helpful. It can really get you seen. It can really make a difference. It can form community, but it can also break communities down. It can be destructive. I mean, we know this, but I feel as though we are able to kind of see past the BS.
Mhm.
And there is a lot of it, you know, on social media, but there's so many communities that are dedicated to uplifting the queer community. I mean, COMC and TCR are just two of those, but you know, Finesse Media and so many other organizations, Sweet Sounds Collective, Homo Ground, like these are all, I'm listing organizations we've collabed with because we are able to collab with them. We're able to come together and have much needed conversations. We just had a conversation last month about mental health in the music industry. And it was more than just, you know, let's sit down and let's make some content. Let's put something on social media. It's like, let's bring these artists together and let's actually try to talk about mental health with them. Let's actually try to give them something to leave that conversation with. We had a mental health professional in the room, and not only the artists who were on that panel, but also the people who were in the chat, you know, joining on social media, seeking a sense of community or togetherness. They were able to hear this conversation. Whereas, you know, like Freddie, I'm sure you have some amazing conversations, you know, backstage, but it's not being live streamed onto the internet. So, you know, like it impacts you and it impacts that person you're talking to. And that is critical as well, because you need that, you know, person to person contact in this industry. But on a, like, trying to reach out to many people and trying to give many people this perspective and this knowledge, I feel like for us, social media has been really critical, you know, and in 2020 even more so, because how else were you gonna talk to people? I needed social interaction and this was it.
Exactly. What about you, Chella? Is there anything that you could bounce off of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to Shay's last point, you know, COMC was founded virtually. And we just started essentially as free virtual bi-weekly panels. And that was the whole platform. And it was a way for folks who were either feeling like they were being cheated out of their academic experience or out of their post-grad job opportunity to stay connected, continue growing their network, and continue to learn more about music business. And that was all virtual, all promoted on social media, mainly Instagram, a website, but mainly Instagram is where our following started, is where we generate the most organic growth. And I think in general, I sort of see social media as a double-edged sword, because like you mentioned, there are companies that are really taking advantage of Pride Month and Pride Month branding, using rainbow colors to their advantage when their brand has never necessarily aligned for that or stood for that. Some to just a really dreadfully like cringy extent that is like, this is embarrassing for you, but also
Yes, I'm talking about, you know, it's like,
yeah.
We've never seen this from you before. Where is it coming from?
Right. And I think now more than ever, companies are seeing that if they don't sort of they're trying to bandwagon their way into being advocates in the community. And it's very painfully obvious, because it's not organic. It's not what they've ever strived to align their brand with. It's not what they've ever strived to be advocates for. And I think that's, you know, a disadvantage for folks who have a following and can use that to tokenize people in the community or the community as a whole, when they know they're either A, not in the community, or also B, don't know anything about the culture, queer culture, or anything like that. On the other hand, if you see it from like a music, digital marketing, and promotional side of things, TikTok has done wonders for music promotion and in a way sort of reshaped that avenue for queer artists, people of color, to showcase not just like their talent, but their personalities in a way that gives fans a more intimate look into who they are as people and how that aligns with their brand as artists, just creatives. And, you know, I think one of the first ways we saw that was with drag queens showing off their looks. And like, I think that was one of the first sort of bigger transition trends that started on TikTok. And that was a way for them to show off, be themselves, and feel comfortable doing that. And it's a digital stage, it's a way for you to create your own brand, get that out there, start building community, make connections. And I think that's everything from an artist management perspective. I know creatives typically are not very into, it's sort of rare that you see them very actively being on social media promoting their stuff. And if they do have social media accounts, it's most of the time a team of people at a label. In a more rare case, we have Lil Nas X, artists like Lil Nas X, who are actually the ones on their account who are actually just very natural and organic. Like on TikTok, he's got his whole digital presence nailed down to a T. He interacts with fans. He shares his music. He was promoting Montero on TikTok by just like sharing a very small snippet, like 5 seconds of the song for like months before it released. And he had fans just hungry for that drop. And when it did drop, I think we all saw the repercussions of social media as well, with even global DSPs like Spotify struggling to keep that song up and active in countries where homosexuality is quite literally illegal. So we saw the way that social media also sort of affected, in a way, the freedom of speech there, or the legalities of things. So like I said, I also go off on tangents, but yeah, it was a double-edged sword in the way that the song was absolutely massive. The music video turned out to be gorgeous and a statement and necessary. But as we saw, not to everyone. And that's an ongoing battle for the queer community, I think.
Yeah, and that actually goes perfectly into my last question before we head into the audience Q&A, where they can ask you their questions. Where should we be aiming in the next 5 years? Meaning, what still needs to change in the music industry to give more opportunities for queer artists and for artists, or for any LGBTQ member searching for that community in less accepting spaces? Where can they start going? What can really they do at this point?
I have a thought.
Yeah.
So something that we, the TCR, have been talking about in our tangents that we go off in meetings is award shows, because award shows are one place where there's so much room for improvement, to say the least, and especially for the queer community, because most of the recognition awards are binary. And we saw a case with Sam Smith, and because they use they them pronouns, even though they had an album that could have been nominated, it wasn't nominated because they didn't know, what to do with them. Basically, you can't put them in the, a best women's album. We can't put them in best men's. Like, that is one space where it's like so critical. If you're going to be doing an award show for recognition of accomplishments and creativity in the music industry, that needs to be the absolute creme de la creme. Like, this is what the music industry should be. I feel like award shows are a statement, and often it's very in the mindset of competition and putting people into boxes so that they can line people up against each other in competition. And that is so, it breaks things down in the music industry in a way that's kind of unnatural, because there's so many different styles. Yes, there's genres, and genres has been how it's been broken down, but there's so many variations within that it's really difficult to compare, to justly compare music. And the systems behind the voting on which awards are given to who is also really skewed. And it's just the entire thing from beginning to end. There's so many ways to make it more inclusive, also to the POC community, in addition to the queer community. There's so much missing. And I think that, as far as the music industry, because I feel like, there's the music industry, and then there's so many independent artists that are succeeding separate from the industry. And those are the artists that I think, really they deserve recognition in a big way, but you can't really earn that recognition without being in the industry through a label, pushing your marketing, pushing your brand, and making sure that you are like amping yourself up to be able to even stand a chance in award shows. And it doesn't really recognize, like, truly, it should be a celebration. It should be a celebration where there are no losers, because nobody loses in the realm of creativity. Your art is your art, and it's not going to be a first, second, third place deal. It's going to be, this is your accomplishment, and let's support it in the best way we know how, through recognition. And I also think that as far as like the industry goes, music award shows are at the top. Like, the Grammys is the biggest night in the music industry. So let's go from, like, we have organizations that are working from the bottom up in the industry right now. I love to refer to COMC and TCR, but then you need to kind of go from the top down as well. And the top is these award shows, and then in which case it'll trickle down into the music industry, so that, these grand nights, the Grammys, come together, and it really is a celebration of what music is for people. And rant.
For me, we still haven't even hit this benchmark with women, period, but we need more representation everywhere in the music business, but also mainly on like executive boards and in leadership positions, in creative positions. And so often, if you just go on and I work for them, my thoughts are my own, but just go on any of the big three record labels websites and go to their exec boards, and it's white men, sometimes a woman, sometimes a person of color in a D&I position. Let's include people of color, queer people, in creative roles, not just in logistical roles, because I think the music business, and this is my biggest, it sounds like a blanket statement. My biggest qualm with the music business is that I feel like they are using the talent of people of color and of the communities that they do not strive to represent for monetization. That's, R&B and hip hop culture and jazz are not founded or strive for by white people. And that's where the music business makes their money, but they lack representation everywhere. So for me, I see it in the upper ranks of these big music companies, because as corporate America, or corporate in general, as it can feel sometimes, companies like UMG, Sony, Warner, Tencent, they are making the largest decisions in the music business that trickle down even to these independent artists who suffer at the hands of them, whether we like it or not, unfortunately. So I think a big first step is advocating for more representation on those executive boards, and not just for people of color and women and queer folks to be in D&I roles or finance roles or operations roles, but in like head of creative roles or head of visuals or head of A&R, where the music is actually made and promoted and advocated for. So that's my smaller rant here.
100%.
I I feel like this question is something that I've been asking myself for the past year, following the George Floyd murder, and because so many companies came to me personally asking me how we can make a change, and my answer was, "Girl, you don't pay me for that. I'm not a consultant. You need to do your own research to figure that out." But I do have some questions that I would love answered, and I personally don't have the answer to them. But like one of them is like, why is it that every time I step onto a stage to play a character, and this is not necessarily about my queerness, this is more about my blackness, but when I step onto a stage to play a character that is black, or if I'm in an opera like the one that I did at the Metropolitan Opera, like Porgy and Bess, why is it that every single person behind the table directing me, conducting me, giving me teaching me the choreography, why is it that they are all white males and none of them reflect the people to whom they are teaching, the people that they should understand completely if they're going to put a work onto the stage? You know how demeaning it is to be playing a black man talking about the black experience, and this white director is like, yeah, you know, like when you're at church, and I'm like, bitch, the fuck you know about my church life? You don't know a damn thing about it. But I think the same thing applies to my queerness too. You know, like I feel like that is something that is also missing within the classical arts. And I think that companies aren't trying to get there. They're putting some band-aids on this, right? They're hiring people for, and Sally, you were just touching on this too, they're hiring people for roles like diversity and inclusion, where they can like do a check mark, but that's not necessarily, those people are still not the people that are going to do the casting, you know? That's one thought. My other thought is like, when are we going to get to the point as queer artists in classical music where we don't have to hide who we are on the stage? And I understand, as I said earlier, I understand that if you're playing like, if I'm going to play like a character like Cavaradossi in Tosca by Puccini, he is a painter, he's he's a former revolutionary painter, like very hyper mask. I understand that I have to be that, right? But when am I going to get to the point where I can play like a black queer man on the stage and actually be somebody closer to who I am? Because that's something that's never happened for opera as far as I know. You know, when am I going to be able to be Freddie on stage and not have to be Freddie through the eyes of Cavaradossi? I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but I would love to see that happen. I think that's a huge step that we need to take in classical music. And and the same also goes for trans people. There is one opera that just took place, and I mentioned to you, I think Shay, I was talking to you about when we were talking about Lucia. I also mentioned another trans artist I know. Her name is Sam, and she's only recently transitioned, and she was doing an opera called Florencia in el Amazonas by Daniel Catan, I think. It's really beautiful music, FYI, if y'all want to hear some really gorgeous, like schmaltzy opera, I think that's a really good one to jump into. That was just like a little plug for classical music for y'all that aren't about that life. But I think that she actually was allowed to be herself on the stage. The director was like, "Oh, you're trans. I don't want you to be and you're just started to go through this transition. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable in your body for these 4 hours on this stage. So I'm going to let's like change this role." So this nurse, it was just the role of a nurse on the ship. He changed it so that she could actually be herself. She could actually be a trans woman on the stage. And and that's a huge deal. And I would love to have that opportunity. Anytime I play Sport and Life, I do it. Sport and Life is the role that I do, for Porgy and Bess. Anytime I do Sport and Life, I do Sport and Life as somebody who's sexually fluid and views sex more as a monetary thing than something that has to be like set in stone, and that makes it easier for myself to play that character. But I feel like when we can get to the point in opera where you can actually be a queer person on the stage without people like raising an eyebrow or getting pissed off about it, that's going to be a huge change. And the last question that I want to know is, when am I, both as a Black man and as a queer person, when am I going to be allowed to tell a story on the stage that is not about the tragedy of being Black and or queer? Because I tell that story all the time. that's all people know about me. They only know, oh my God, it was so hard for you to come out of the closet. Oh my God, I bet it was so hard for you to be bullied. Yeah, bitch, of course it was hard. You know, it's also beautiful that I have love for another male. It's also really great that I'm Black and I get to live that experience. Like but nobody wants to hear that story for some reason. Nobody wants to hear what, like, the beautiful parts of what we are. They only want to hear like that terrible tragedy that happens again and again and again. And it feels like we're stuck in that. And that's not healthy for our mental health. And I think at some point, artists are going to have to say, fuck you, and start and demand that somebody say something different. Yeah. That's what I would love to see, those 3 changes within the classical music world.
Whew, okay, I'm gonna get some snaps because you are all amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And now I'd love to open this up to the audience. If you have a question, use the raise your hand feature under the reactions button. And we'll go on for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll head into our listening session. So.
Kit, if no one has any questions just yet, I know you had a couple of other ones on your list. Feel free to just throw those out there as well.
And so if at any point anyone has a question, feel free to use the react button. And if not, then I will go for now. My, I guess, last question that I have, and you've already touched upon this a little bit, but, oh, sorry, Dee, do you want to go first while I compose my thoughts?
I want to ask a question. Frederick,
Yeah.
why haven't you started your own opera? What are you waiting for?
Girl, you know, when I was in school, I was a lazy motherfucker. I really didn't work as hard as I should have in things like music theory. I have always wanted to compose. And now that I'm an adult in classical music, I'm very intimidated by the thought of it, because I didn't study as hard as I should have when I was in school. I was a smart kid, you know, the church of that. This boy I went on a date with once called it the curse of the genius child. I was a kid that was able to just skate by because I had the brains to get away with it. But it meant that as an adult, I was like, oh, wait, what was I supposed to have actually absorbed? Didn't do it. And so with classical music, that is one of the things that I feel I had not absorbed. I did not absorb what I needed to absorb to write music necessarily, to compose something as through composed. First of all, through composed is when something isn't repeated, but just one plane of music. To compose something as through composed as an opera and as in detailed as an opera needs to be. I think though, you know what I am being lazy about is commissioning. I have plenty of friends who have that skill, who have the same background as myself, who have beautiful, beautiful musical ears that could do this. Like one of them is, her name is Jasmine Barnes. She is an up and coming Black female composer who is also a singer. And Jasmine could do some shit like this. Jasmine could actually make that magic happen. And so I probably need to I was talking about how I want to be that pillar for people growing up behind me. I probably need to be that pillar and actually step up and tell Jasmine we need to focus in on this subject matter for the community at large. So that's why, Dee, and you can beat my ass for that, because that's definitely on me. I could have worked harder on that.
Think about Tyler Perry. He started the plays. That's how he came out. You can start plays, opera plays, and do it your way. You don't have to do nothing traditional. When you don't do it traditional, that's when you stand out. And let me tell you, these people, they don't want you to be better than them. So be better than them. They don't have no choice but to listen.
Amen. I mean, amen. You're right. You're completely right. I mean, I think that's the way that I live it every day. Like I'm going to do my better than everybody else. And I'm going to do the greatest thing that I can, which is going to be going to be greater, you know? But you're right.
Include you all, not just one person, include you all in it.
No, you're right. I mean, I think if you're talking about building an opera, it is a team sport. everybody has, and if you're talking about building something new in opera, it definitely is a team sport. You have to work with the other singers to make sure that it actually is written well for each voice. You have to work with somebody like what's called a librettist. A librettist is who writes the actual text for the opera, and then of course the composer, and then you'll get to the point where you have to collaborate with the director to make sure that what you and the composer have put together is actually going to set well to the stage. But I mean, what I need to do is put a team together, and like I know all the moving parts to make this happen. What I need to do is put a team together, and as you're shaming me, I guess I will.
I'm not shaming you. I'm just trying to let you know that you already have it. You don't need school.
You're right. You are right. Yes, ma'am. You're correct. Thank you. I'll go get on it.
Thank you for your question, Dee. We appreciate you. Lexi, what's up?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask if any of you would like to put on additional organizations or artists or just amazing executives that you know in your spaces that folks can follow and learn more from.
Yes, totally. The first person that comes to mind who's a really big inspiration to me is Ebony Gentry. She runs her own touring company called Gentry Touring. She's Doja Cat's tour manager. She does it all. Let me see if, I think her handle might just be Ebony Gentry, but once I find it, I can definitely.
She's amazing.
She's incredible. Absolutely. Yeah. Inspiration to everyone, really. And I will continue to plug folks in the chat. Thank you, Angela. Shout out Angela. She's with us at COMC as well. But yeah, she's incredible. She has a touring page as well. It might be at Gentry Touring. And yeah, I think, she's worked with us a little bit over at COMC, also with a more live music touring specific platform called Live Out Live. I'll plug that in the chat as well. And Live Out Live is founded by Candace Newman. She's an executive and a veteran in the touring space for over a decade. And she's an inspiration as well. So yeah, I will continue to drop some usernames in the chat.
Cool. Freddie or Shay?
Yeah, I just really want to plug all of the artists that we've had artist interviews with, because there are so many talented queer and POC creatives. Not only, lead singers and solo acts, but also like behind the scenes producers, engineers. And we have also had conversations about the deaf community in the music industry. And I want to plug Definitely Inc. We are going to be collabing with them this summer, and they're a really great organization that has conversations about the deaf community that are not being had otherwise, because there's a predisposition that people think that deaf people cannot enjoy music, which is false. So I am going to, because I don't have an Angela, but I'm going to plug in the handles of a couple of the artists that we've worked with that y'all should definitely go support, follow, message. Like, they would love to talk to you, I'm sure, and collab if that's something that you're looking for.
Cool. Freddie, do you have any?
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get on these instas because I couldn't remember everybody's like handles and everything. The first one I just like threw them into the chat. Devon Tynes is an amazing Black queer opera singer as well. Devon does a lot of strict theater work as well. He curates his own and composes his own complete shows that usually are meant for smaller stages. But I think Devon is a fascinating artist to keep track of. Another one is Julia Bullock, who is a freaking force of nature within the classical music world. She's not queer, but an amazing and beautiful Black singer. She is one of the most prominent voices in activism within the opera world. She will not be silenced for anyone to make anybody else feel comfortable. And she is an amazing friend, and also somebody I think everybody should follow and listen to. Her voice is heavenly. Justin Kim is another one. When I mentioned that, when I was mentioning another singer who also has done drag in classical music. That's Justin Kim, was the one I was thinking about specifically. And then other than that, I know Shay brought up Lucia Lucas. I think Lucia Lucas is also quite fascinating. I think Lucia Lucas is one of the most personable and she understands herself so well. And I think that can be very comforting to see as somebody who is coming up in queer and classical music. And if I have any others that come to mind, I'll throw them in the chat.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing. Can we get some snaps for our amazing panelists one more time? This has been so insightful and so incredible. Thank you so much. And now we're going to head into my personal favorite part of all of our events, the listening sessions. And so for those who don't know, every weekend we host listening sessions, and it's a great way for artists to gain more exposure and receive feedback from amazing professionals within the music industry. And it's also just a lot of fun to start off your Saturday listening to some great music. And so we will be doing that right now. Let me share my screen sound. And first up, we have Losing Focus by Simha, who we've met a little bit earlier. Let me try to get my screen to be bigger. Hold on. Here we go. And this is Losing Focus.
Okay, Kat, are you sharing the sound?
I am. Is it playing? Let me skip forward a little bit. It should start in a second. Give me one moment, everyone. I'm gonna stop sharing screen. Kyle, if I sent you the link, would you be able to play the music since this isn't working for me?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay, let me close this. Thank you all for your patience. Just some technical difficulties. Yeah, Kyle's the best, seriously, y'all.
I try. All right. Just open it up. Cool. Where's Zoom? There it is. All right. So I'm Kyle, by the way, Kyle Lacey. Work here at Finesse as well. And yeah, I mean, like Kat said, these are definitely like my favorite parts of the day, of the weekend, honestly. Great way to start it off. So here is Losing Focus by Simha. Oh, let me open it up in Spotify. Hold on. Sorry for more technical difficulties. Okay, now we should be good. Perfect. It doesn't seem to be playing for me either. You can hear it?
Yeah, I would skip to about 15 seconds.
Okay.
I can't feel my breath in the moment I let go. Lost to the space, lost to the depth. I have nothing left to show. Behind my face, I stood still, waiting for the light to fade.
That was awesome. I really like that. It was super, super chill. How did everyone like that? It was awesome. Nice. Yeah. Does anyone have any feedback? Any of our panelists?
How do I contact you?
You can reach out to me. I'll send you my email, and also put my Instagram handle in the text. Thank you.
We love to see it. Yeah, I really like this song. I'm gonna have to add this one to some of my playlists. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say about it?
Simha, I was just listening to your music last night and drinking a cocktail, and it was the best thing in the world.
That's a
vibe. Oh, thanks. Yes, that's a vibe. I love that.
I love the song. I'm gonna listen to it. I'm telling you, it's deep. It's deep. I love it.
Thank you, Dee.
Awesome. Love that. We have the next one, Kapow by Madam Psychosis. So here. That started off hot right away. That was awesome.
Woo!
Yeah, that was awesome.
I want to see that live and dance. Oh my.
Absolutely, absolutely. Did you do the guitar on that?
That was crazy.
Because that one's so hard.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks for listening.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say real quick, also like the quality of your voice, and it was for both of y'all. Y'all have beautiful tones to your instrument. And Madam Psychosis, like I want to also hear you sing a ballad or something. Like even something like with this guitar, but that showcases like the beautiful tones of that instrument. I think that would be really interesting to hear. But I was like vibing to this. I was about it.
So Michelle is our singer. She's here right now. Her song is coming up next. But if you check out her album, we have a lot of ballady feels too for some of our music. So check it out. I'll put our handles here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the production quality was crazy. It was awesome for both of those songs.
Wait, can I just shout out Jaina and Michelle? They came to our Pride event last year and performed, and we just love you both so much and your band. So thank you for coming back on. And also the quality of the engineering was so much just through the roof in comparison to what I've seen from your growth. So I'm really excited to have you all back on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing. Definitely a great way to get energized before I start my day off this Saturday. So this next one is Look What You Started. You said this was your band's singer? Awesome. So
yeah, that's right.
She said,
I'ma kiss you like you've never been kissed before. You do it well, I think it's time I even the score.
I said, if you really mean it, I'm with it, baby. So come over, show me what you can do with it, baby.
She said it's crucial that you're down for it. I'm not the type to mess around if you can't handle it.
I said, I keep it confidential. If you got potential, come with it, come with it.
Make your move, I'll make mine too. You know what you came to do. Teasing me, I play your fool as you do what you do. Eyes are pulling me right in, drinking in your entices, and I'm with it. If you let me in it, look what you really started. Look what you really started. Look what you really started. It's about to be a wild night, wild night, wild night. Look what you really started. Look what you really started. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look what you really started. It's about to be a wild night.
That was so smooth. I really like that. Someone said they really love the pitch down Vox, and I agree. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My little producer brain is going bananas over here.
No, yeah, that was a great observation. I like that too.
I loved all of the elements combined. I mean, with those harmonies and those accents. I mean, it really, really like layered so well. It like cleanse the palate.
Awesome, thank you. I produced that as well, so it's great to hear that.
Yeah, well done, well done.
Thank you.
Freddie,
Yeah.
do you have any? Oh, sorry, Kyle.
No, go ahead.
Freddie, do you have any thoughts as well?
Yeah, I actually I really like the idea of what's happening in it. I think that for it may just be my like classical ear. I feel like the harmonies are quite crunchy already, and then there are a lot of things that are coming in around it. So I think that maybe if a few, just like maybe take out some of the things so that the audience's ear can focus in on something can focus in on the music before another interesting aspect happens, because they're all fucking awesome. But I think that they could be, for some, too much to take in all at once. If that makes sense.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. Up next, we have I Love When It Rains in LA by Who Am I? I really like that name. That's clever. Here we go.
Getting dressed again to drive downtown. Last night I only slept 3 hours. I'm back on my bullshit again. Rather save money instead. So sick of playing pretend. When I'm running on 20%, too many social obligations. This city tests your patience. My friends wanna get wasted when I just wanna stay in. Every day I'm raging, self-medicating. I need a vacation. So I love it when it rains in LA. You crash at my place. Pull up, roll up, light up your place. Just stay here forever, we got time to waste. When I'm under the weather, you're my summer day, yeah, yeah. Pull up, roll up, light up your place. Take off all your clothes and go down my face. Take control now and throw down the face. Why don't we always keep it this way? It's the perfect timing, heartbeat rising, legs dividing, and I can't get enough. You're my silver lining, hypnotizing, lay beside me. You take my mind off, so much I gotta do. Running on empty fumes, just wanna be in my room. Kicking at me and you, crowds running in the gray. Finally getting to stay, waiting to see you get naked. Oh, so I love it when it rains in LA. You crash at my place. Pull up, roll up, let's just stay here forever. We got time to waste. When I'm under the weather, you're my summer day, yeah.
I always feel like I'm doing something wrong when I like cut it off because these are so good. I love this one. This is definitely going to be one I'm going to be adding to my playlist also. This is so good.
That was a lesson in songcraft and songwriting in a hook. Wow. I thought the chorus was the main hook, but then the second verse came in with like something new and reeled me in further. That was really great. Is the rain in the beginning, excuse me, is the rain in the beginning like a real sample, or is that a digitized thing?
Woo, are you here?
If they're not here, that's okay. It just sounded real. So
It sounded very real. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did
I'd like
sound
to
real.
think it was real.
Let's just pretend it is. It was awesome. That was really, really good. If they're not here, we can move on. We have 2 music videos which are awesome. So I'm just gonna stop, or I can share. You all can see that. Cool. So this first one is Tricks in the City by Reginald Hawkins. And just move some things so I can see. There we go. So here we go.
I've been on Boston, I've been round the city. Know you little boys know about tricks in the city. Yeah, we sitting really pretty, sitting like me. Anything you can say, you won't be sitting with me. And I've been had my own, we all have been new. Don't call me on my phone without the money moves, cause there's work to be done. Things I gotta do, on track with my goals, that Billy is coming soon. If you want a chance at me, you better fly me overseas, boy. Take me on a shopping spree, I got some big designer needs, boy. Front row at Fashion Week, Milan to Paris, boy. Want me? Well, I don't play nice. Big dog, big checks is big nice. The club's no place for love, young boys. Let's live life while we're young. I'll teach you my love spell, and you'll get any man you want. Focus on the floor and keep on dancing, having fun. Soon you'll meet the one. He's been right there, boy, all along. Eye contact is just a trick. Get anything you want. Read his soul, take a deep breath, and then you best hold on. Decolonize my mind, I am focusing on getting paper. I'm all for that generational freedom, that's all I'm saying. I'm here on the right track, just a black man with some education. Just following my dreams, not a kid no more, boy, I'm not playing. I just wanna get up, get on top, that's what I do. I'm gonna climb the charts, you'll see the baddest bitch when he come through. I've been working my ass off, I thank God I do what I do. Just standing up tall, trying to be strong, yes you can be strong too.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love the visuals. I love the energy.
Love this freeze frame.
How to celebrate Pride Month soundtrack. Love that. So good.
This was awesome. I love how everything's like cut also. All the visuals. It's all cut together. Does anybody have any feedback, whether it be for the visuals or the song itself?
Like you said, love the energy, love the color palette, the lighting, immaculate. I mean, it really looked like a music video that was like started off being like photographed as like a fader cover. Like I feel like any of these could be stills for like the fader. Super cool.
Awesome, love that. So up next we have Too Much. This is also our last one, by Simon Plant.
Haven't seen you since you had gone on a miss, and I just
that was super smooth, super smooth. Love the colors. That was awesome.
I want to say that it's all about angles and lighting, and I think that they nailed that, especially because when you have scenes where it's like colored lighting like this, and there's multiple different scenes with multiple colors, having the same like light strength kind of makes it a consistency throughout the entire music video, which makes it really, really work very well.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts from Chella or Freddie?
I'm just grateful to have new additions to my playlists.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Chella. Can y'all send us all that playlist on Spotify? Because I definitely want to download the whole thing.
Yes, please.
Also, I truly loved it. I agree wholeheartedly with Shay, like creating that consistency of colors and lighting throughout, like really gave us something to hold on to. I really enjoyed like the throwback quality of the video as well. I like that step back was really, really like, it felt good. It felt really good to see it. And then vocally, like the singing was just, it was just pleasing. It was I enjoyed it. I loved it.
Whew. All right. Well, can I get a woot woot for just this entire panel and the listening session and everything involved? This has been such an amazing event, and I'm sad to say that it's time to wrap it all up right now. So, first and foremost, let's give a massive thank you to our amazing panelists. Thank you for sharing your insights, your experiences with us. We appreciate you. And thank you to all of you for being here. It's the community that really matters, and your presences are beyond appreciated. One last time, the contact sheet will go into the chat right now for you to network and connect with our community, and I'll try and get the Spotify playlist up on there as well so you all can have these wonderful songs and artists with you. If you liked this event and are interested in the Finesse Media community, join Finesse VIPs. This is a great way to just be up to date with all things Finesse. So, Lex, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much to all of the panelists, Chella, Shay, Freddie. Oh my God, I love all of you so much. And Kit Kat, obviously, thank you for hosting, and Kyle for taking care of the listening session as well. I see every single one of the people who come onto our events, and I don't always get a chance to connect with each of you individually, but it means a lot to Finesse Media for all of you to be here on a Saturday, especially when it's summertime and everything's going on outside now, everything's starting to open up. Just as some background of why we host these events every single Pride, Finesse Media is really big on really promoting and uplifting BIPOC and marginalized voices just in general. And I don't always feel like the best representative of the queer community, but I love women. I believe that love is love, and that love happens on a spectrum. So I am very grateful to be able to share this space with all of you. And we are hosting, and we're probably going to be hosting more artist showcases this year. And one thing that we really want to promote is definitely BIPOC and queer voices. So if anyone is interested in being a part of that, then please let us know. And if there's any way that we can ever help you, just in general, please hit us up at any time. We're here for you. So I know Simha asked if we're planning on hosting any in-person events in the future. We do want to. With COVID, we're still trying to figure out all the regulations and everything. I wanted to do a Pride event this year, but just with COVID, we're still trying to figure out things with regulations. So we will let all of you know once we can do in-person events. Also, we're global, so it's hard to figure out which cities are the best to host all of these events in. But we're really appreciative of all of you. Thank you to all of the people who sent in their music today. Simha, Michelle, Jaina, we love you. And I think everybody else that had promoted their music left, but thank you again, everybody, so much. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.